Hello everybody. It's a little bit different today because it's possibly the last one that we'll do for a special occasion. But over the last few months, preparing thought for the day, it has meant that I've had to find time to reflect on what my faith is all about and why it's so important to me. So I'd just like to share a couple of thoughts with you. Firstly, I've become more and more aware of just how many blessings I receive each and every day. But I so often take them for granted. Some are obvious, so obvious in fact that I don't even stop to think about them. I turn on the tap and I get fresh water. I have a roof over my head. And I have sufficient, if not more than enough, food for each and every day. I have a lovely family and lots of wonderful friends. I have reasonably good health, but I know that if there is a problem, there's free medical help. And we've sung today, Sunday, twice the lovely hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness, and it ends on the last verse with the words, blessings all mine, with 10,000 beside. Michael quite often says about before you go to sleep, find 10 things to say thank you for. And I think 10,000 would probably take a long time, but we do have so many blessings. Don't let us ever take them for granted. Then it's really hit home to me, particularly over this past couple of weeks, is the wonderful freedom that we enjoy. Freedom to worship, whenever, wherever, and how we worship. We have freedom of movement, especially now that so many of the past restrictions during COVID have been lifted, and how frustrating those relative restrictions were, and how so many people became ill because of them. And I just wonder, watching the television over the last few days, how we would cope with the terrible conditions that we see in Afghanistan and in so many other parts of the world where freedom does not exist. We have access to education and to freedom of choice as to which career we're going to follow. And I need to give thanks for all those and many more. My final thought is just how many times I have been brought to mind a special passage of scripture, but there's one in particular, so please forgive me because I know I have mentioned it on so many occasions. It was used by our headmaster at the end of every term. The wise old fellow wanted us not only to remember it, but to put it into practice, and it's all about love. Love is an emotion that we can all hopefully experience, no matter what colour, creed, status or position. You don't have to be a Christian to love or to receive love, but we give thanks that the love our God gives is something very, very special. Reading this passage from Paul's letter to the Corinthians makes me pray that one day all throughout the world may hear that message, and then what a wonderful, caring, loving and peaceful world we will live in. And this is what we read from Paul's letter. It starts, and now I will show you the most excellent way. And then it continues with these words. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And it finishes with these words. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
Well, that was pretty good, Monica. Very impressed, actually. In the last goodness knows how long, 18 months, we've sort of got better at this, haven't we? Well,
Hopefully.
some of us have. Not quite sure about me, but that's by the by. But I'd really like to thank all those who've given talks over the last 18 months. It's been wonderful, hasn't it? Hasn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even doing it at 1 o'clock in the morning with the lights on.
Yes, Rob has this sort of a way of sort of saying, and as we, on Monday morning, and actually he's doing it at 2:15 or something in the morning, some of us just don't fib, we just say, well, it's actually Saturday and I'm doing it 3 days before, but that's bad. But I think it's been good, hasn't it? We're probably going to do some of these at other times in the year as well, just to sort of keep us in practice, really. But we're so grateful for, as Monica says, the blessings and the love of God, which has kept us going. And even though it's been difficult, especially when we were totally locked down, do you remember those dark days, especially around about Easter? Rob and I, it was round about Mothering Sunday, I think it was the day before, and we were in church and we prayed together, and then we locked the doors and we said, looked at each other and said, that's that, and we walked away. And of course we didn't have Easter at church, and we couldn't worship together, we couldn't do anything together, and it was just really, really hard. And these videos and our services online and all those things have been a lifeline to a lot of people. So I'm very grateful to people, especially to Rob and to Monica and to all the rest who've worked so hard behind the scenes to keep us in touch with each other and keep those blessings flowing.
If you've not had a chance to see the newsletter, I suggest you have a read out this week, because at the front we give some statistics which were mind-blowing when you put them together. I just want to go through a couple of them with you. We actually started, as Michael just mentioned, Mothering Sunday. It was the 24th of March 2020. Michael did his very first video in his dining room, no, his office.
It's dreadful.
With over 489 views, so he gets the top prize for that. He wins with having the biggest amount of numbers. And you know, these online services we've used for getting involved with the schools, because we've not been able to get into schools, so we've done school videos every week, which have gone into schools. We've done these thoughts for the days. We've had Stitch and Chat. We've had Bible studies. We've had praise and play. All different events taken on. And one of the biggest things that we started doing quite soon, before other churches did, was we started actually recording funerals.
Yeah.
There was a funeral that I actually hadn't recorded the funeral, because nobody at that point, nobody was able to get to the crematorium, and we filmed the funeral. At that point, the crematorium decided to get their own devices in and start recording. So we were perhaps the instigators for getting that started. We also filmed in every church. We filmed in St Mary's, St Thomas's, St James, and St Hilda's. So we've had a chance to see inside all different churches, and it's been difficult,
Yeah.
but it has been a great amount of fun. So as Mike has already said, thank you to everybody who's got involved, who's put thoughts together. I know when we record them, there's only probably about 10 minutes you hear, but we're talking a couple of hours at least of recording, putting them together, editing, putting them online. And we mustn't forget Joanne, who faithfully every morning for the last 289 services, every morning has press release so that you can watch them. So it's not the end of us recording our services. There's still the Sunday services that will be recorded every week live. You can watch them live or you can watch them later, so they'll still be available. And there'll be different services that we will record, as Michael's already said. So even though we're coming to the end of our thoughts for the day, it certainly isn't the end of technology. Now we've got used to it, and now we've got it in the churches. We will still be using it, but it's time now. We did this first one on the 24th after we shut the church's doors 2 days beforehand. As I said in the newsletter, the church doors are now wide open. No, it is a safe place to come, and we would encourage you to come back. And if you don't feel that you can come back, then contact one of us, or contact the ministry team. We can still have the same communication with you. We can come and visit you now. But it's good that the churches are opening again, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Weddings, baptisms are coming back in, and it feels good.
I think we should probably say the grace together, shouldn't we, really? Because we do look a bit like the Three Stooges.